Welcome back, everyone. Well, we have a very special guest joining us here in the studio today with an important message. Chief Eric Strout is joining us from the Levant Fire Department. First of all, thank you so much for coming here.
You're welcome. Good morning.
This kind of came about, it was a week or so ago. You guys had a deadly fire there in Levant where 2 people passed away following a terrible fire. And you and I got talking about fire safety. There's a lot of concerns about the heating season ahead. People are struggling because of the cost of oil and that kind of thing, and so they might result into doing some things that might be a little dangerous. What are your concerns heading into the heating system?
I think going in, I mean, we've had warm weather, right? So we've been spoiled. We know Maine's going to get cold. We're worried about what people are going to start doing for sources of heat. Heating oil is extremely expensive. I think they're going to look to alternative methods. So we remind people, if you're using a wood stove for the first time, check it out, have your chimney inspected. There may be going to other sources. You know, pellet stoves are safe. It's a good way to check those as well. And then we're talking about some people bring in kerosene heaters, you know, propane space heaters. You got to look at what combustibles you have in your house and be mindful of that. So we're hoping people take those steps now before it gets really cold, and then looking at alternative methods to heat their home.
Now, we've been using things like kerosene heaters for years, but maybe we haven't had to use them so much in the past couple of years. You got to watch where you place them if they get too close to things. I've covered a bunch of fires caused by those things.
Yep, and that's really key. So what do you have around? Mainers, I think typically we like to hoard a lot of stuff in our houses. Yeah. We like keep a lot of things. Be mindful of what you have around a kerosene heater. One, and then the emissions that it's putting off of the fumes are extremely dangerous, right? So making sure they're properly vented out. If you go to that level that you're using that, we ask that, you know, reach out to your local agencies. We have a lot of information we could provide. And then there's obviously detectors, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. Make sure those are working in your house are another key pieces.
And that's one thing that wasn't working in the fire in Levant last weekend, and it happens many times. You might think you have a smoke detector there, but check the batteries. We remind them once a year to do it. But perhaps if you live in an apartment too, it's usually up to the landlords to do that, but they don't always do it, trust me. No. So check them yourself.
Yeah, and that's a key thing. We tell everybody just last week, check your batteries, check your smoke detectors. I think the other piece is test them. We work with our young kids, we educate them, and they usually tell us mom or dad burn things when they're cooking.
Right.
Hey, it's a great way to test it, because you really don't know what that sounds like if you're sound asleep. So test it, make sure the batteries work. We recommend that, you know, every 10 years, replace that detector. But take the steps to make sure what does a smoke detector sound like, not when it's chirping, the battery's going bad, but when it's actually going off. Because some people never heard a smoke detector go off, believe it or not. They don't know what that sound is, and that, you know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're woken up by something like that. The next piece is you want to have a plan of how you're going to get out of your house too. So those are key pieces to think of.
Right. And you guys actually have some good news to report this morning after Election Day, right?
Great news, busy Election Day, but we are so proud. The residents of Levant approved us for the purchase of a new fire truck. It's been a long road. My membership has been tremendous at really getting the word out there. We spend a lot of time in the community with our kids, young kids, and really we hope that they're going to come join us years from now, but know that the fire department's there to support them.
Well, you have a busy fire department too. You're called on mutual aid calls in neighboring towns all the time, so this will be benefiting people living next door too.
Absolutely, we automatically cover the town of Stetson, so they benefit with it. We go to all of our mutual aid partners we work closely with, so not only does it help the town of Levant, but you're right, it's going to help all those towns that we border with a new piece of apparatus with state-of-the-art equipment too.
And you did bring up briefly before we went on air, if someone were to need carbon monoxide or fire detectors or even batteries for those things, are you guys able to help in that regard?
Yeah, you know, absolutely. Every department, I think in the state of Maine, we'd all say, reach out to us, reach out to your department. If you need batteries, how to have it checked, does the smoke detector work? We'll test it for you. Or, you know, we work with the Red Cross. We'd never want to hear someone doesn't have a working smoke detector. They can't afford to put batteries in it. We'll work with you to get that. And, you know, we'll come visit your home. And I speak for almost every fire department probably in the state of Maine. They'll do the same thing. We want to take care of each other.
Those are life-saving measures. You guys do more than what we often show in the news. So
absolutely.
Thank you for coming on the show, Eric.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Before you go, one more thing. There's some things we can do around our houses too. We were talking about it earlier. When you guys show up to a scene, I mean, you need to get up to the house first of all, get into the house. What can we do to make your job easier? I know snowfall is a big thing too. I mean, it's hard to get through a backyard if it's all covered with snow.
Great point, Craig. I mean, keep your exits clear. Probably one learning we had last week, have a meeting place, right? When you get out of your house, get a plan that where you're going to meet, so when the fire department gets there, we can account for who's out of the house, and then we have an idea of how many people are left in the house or who we're actually searching for. We teach our kids at a young age. Start then, maybe they can teach mom or dad. Just go to a mailbox, go to a shed out away from the house, and get safely out, and don't go back in.
Well, these are all things we've been taught since we were kids, but we need to remind ourselves every now and then.
Yeah, usually our memory starts to go as we get older, I think. And
Tell me about it.
It starts to slip away, but and I think if we practice it, I don't know many people that go out and practice an exit plan, but if our kids are telling mom or dad, we should probably know, and that's key. That will make a difference in saving lives, absolutely.
And you guys do a lot of work with kids. So
We do. We love our kids in Levant. We work very closely with them, the fourth graders. They're excited to see us. Sometimes I think we're more excited to see them. Bring the shiny fire truck up, but it's a great experience for us to get out in our community and really educate.
Awesome.
Well, Chief Strout, you are certainly welcome back here anytime.
Thank you.
We appreciate this important information as we head into the heating season. And anytime else you have something you want to share with the public, come on in.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll throw it over to weather with Devin Biggs.